From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, March the 30th, 2020. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that U.S. President Donald Trump spoke over the phone with the Prime Minister on Friday to congratulate Netanyahu that he will form and head the next government in Israel. While details of that government, an emergency unity government with blue and white party leader Benny Gantz, have yet to be unveiled. The Prime Minister's office said the two leaders discussed also the various steps needed to deal with the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. The White House said that Netanyahu and Trump agreed to cooperate closely to combat the virus and minimize its global impact. Netanyahu, by the way, has entered voluntary self-quarantine as a precaution after his aide tested positive for the coronavirus. His office said to remove all doubt, the Prime Minister has decided that he and his close staff will remain in isolation until the epidemiological investigation is completed. And the Knesset officially approved the breakup of Benny Gantz's Blue and White Party this weekend. As we had reported to you, Yair Lapid and Moshe Ya'alon, Blue and White's numbers 2 and 3 respectively, had asked to leave the alliance they made with Gantz after Gantz submitted himself for and was elected Speaker of the Knesset last week, positioning himself for a unity government with Netanyahu. Gantz, by the way, was given approval to keep the blue and white name. Well, the coronavirus pandemic did not stop a rocket from being fired at Israel from Gaza. The rocket was launched at the southern Israeli town of Sderot Friday night. There were no reports of damage or injury. The IDF responded by striking Hamas terror targets in Gaza, tweeting that as the world fights COVID-19, we must also fight terror. Well, words of praise from the United Nations for Israel in recognition of its cooperation with the Palestinians regarding the coronavirus fight. During a press conference last week, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he was encouraged by the cooperation, especially in areas of conflict.
I see in other contexts different parties to a conflict cooperating in order to respond to this dramatic situation. To give an example, in fighting COVID-19, the Palestinian Authority and Israel have been able to work together, even if we know the extreme division that exists politically between the two.
Israel's coordinator for government activities in the territories, or COGAT, tweeted about that cooperation yesterday, saying that Israel has transferred now 1,500 additional coronavirus testing kits to Palestinian medical teams over the last few days. The mayor of Jerusalem led a prayer with the heads of the various faiths in the capital. Moshe Leon said the virus does not distinguish between religions, countries, nations, or continents. In addition to several rabbis, religious leaders of the Druze, Armenian, Christian, and Muslim faiths took part in the prayer for the entire planet, with, of course, social distancing and other safety protocols followed. The 72-year-old man who was critically injured last year in an attack in a rabbi's home has died. Joseph Newman was gravely injured by a machete-wielding attacker during a Hanukkah party in Monsey, New York on December the 28th and had been in a coma with severe brain damage, though in a small sign of hope, he had opened his eyes several weeks ago. Newman, however, passed away yesterday. And among the deaths from the coronavirus, Jewish figures, including musician Alan Merrill, best known for writing I Love Rock and Roll, which was a massive hit for singer Joan Jett. Merrill's daughter shared the sad news on her Facebook page. Merrill passed away yesterday from complications from COVID-19. He was 69 years old. And one of Brazil's most prominent children's artists and educators died Friday. Daniel Azulay was being treated for leukemia when he contracted the virus in Rio de Janeiro. He was 72. And some good news of recovery from the coronavirus. The first person in Israel to be hospitalized in serious condition from COVID-19 was released from the hospital today, a 38-year-old Arab-Israeli bus driver from East Jerusalem. And the first corona case in New Rochelle, New York, that led to the Orthodox synagogue Young Israel in the city to be shut down and its congregation quarantined, is also recovered. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said the 50-year-old, who he referred to as patient zero, who was in an induced coma since March the 1st, is now home. And we told you last week about Mount Sinai Medical Center using plasmapheresis, trying to see if antibodies from people who were able to beat the disease can help those critically ill with it. Rabbi Daniel Nevins is the dean of the rabbinical school at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York City. He tested positive for the coronavirus, but had relatively mild symptoms and recovered fairly quickly, and was soon at the New York Blood Center to donate blood plasma to help doctors and researchers see if his antibodies could aid their efforts. Nevins told JBS, "When I heard that post-COVID patients had the opportunity to help others who were very ill through a plasma donation, I felt very fortunate. Sinai and the New York Blood Center were both responsive and my antibody levels were high, so I was able to donate without delay." He said this is a frightening crisis, and so every tool available to treat the afflicted is precious. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight, for Monday, March the 30th at 7:30. It's the story of the CCNY Jewish black basketball team that won both the NCAA and NIT tournaments in 1950, destroyed by a point-shaving scandal. That's with Clyde Haberman, Matthew Goodman, Ron Nadell, and Mort Scheinman from the Center for Jewish History in New York City. At 9 tonight, Mark Golub sits down with Jack Laub, the first Jewish ball player in the NBA, who talks about his personal journey and his Jewish identity. That's on the Chaim. At 10, former UK Chief Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs speaks about extremism at the 92nd Street Y. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, Mark Golub brings you a new episode of Together During COVID-19. Tonight, Mark speaks with the Director of Infectious Diseases for Hadassah Hospital in Jerusalem, Dr. Alon Moses, who explains how physical separation is the most important means of protection against contracting the virus. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, March the 30th, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well.